speaking with a few women, and they have asked me questions about being confident in God and knowing who they are and believing like they have faith, right? So when we go through these situations in our lives, all different types of situations and different things that happen to us, sometimes they can destroy certain parts, certain aspects of who we are. They can really break down our confidence and have us feeling some sort of way. Sometimes we don't even know what to call it, but we begin to struggle in our own minds, in our own emotions. We begin to doubt, and sometimes we can even begin to doubt God. So I know I've been there before, and what I learned while I was there was something that I decided to hold on to and really to just keep me going for the remainder of, ever since I've learned it. And that was over 10 years ago. So, when you're struggling in your mind and in your emotions, and you have all different types of things happening to you in your life, you can feel like you just don't have the confidence that you feel you need to make decisions, to walk upright before the Lord, to do things in your family. You just really struggle, and sometimes that can even be like an inward battle that you fight within yourself, right? So I want to share with you tonight a few things that I know helps with building your confidence in the Lord. And so the first thing is that you have to decide that you're going to believe. You're going to believe what the Word of God says. You have to make a choice within your own self. You have to make a decision. This is not between you and anybody else. It's just a decision that you make with yourself, that you are going to choose to believe what God has said about you, what God says in the Word. You have to decide if you're going to believe or if you're going to doubt what the Word of God says. Like when you read the Bible, there are certain statements that are being made that you have to consciously reject. You have to literally say to yourself, oh, he's not talking to me. That's not for me. That's for somebody else, right? But if you make a decision in your mind that you're automatically going to believe what the Word of God says, then when you're reading it and the Lord begins to say something like, if he's speaking to Joshua and he says that you will have success everywhere that you go, if you don't stop yourself from believing that, then you will also begin to receive the same thing that God spoke to Joshua. You'll begin to receive that in your own life. So you have to really make a decision to believe. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you have to realize that not having confidence in the Lord affects you. It affects your community. It affects your relationships. It has great impact whether you have confidence in the Lord or not. And if you have confidence in the Lord, then you will then also have confidence in who you are, because you will know who God says that you are. So you have to know that you have to begin to realize and understand the impact of not having the self-confidence that you're supposed to have, not having confidence in the Lord. And then the third thing is, in the middle of this, you have to begin to identify that impact. Be self-aware. Don't try to run away from the knowledge of how things impact you. Don't try to run away from the fact that you are bothered when certain things happen, or when someone says something to you, or when situations come up. Don't try to get your mind off of that impact, because understanding how you feel about things, understanding how situations impact you as an individual person, that helps you to see who you are, what you're like, what things feel like to you. Self-awareness is very important, because you cannot deal with situations in your life if you do not understand yourself. And then by understanding yourself, you will also begin to treat others differently. You begin to treat them better, because you'll understand how you impact you, how situations impact you, and you'll begin to look at how they impact other people. And then not only that, but you'll begin to be able to set up boundaries so that you can say, yes, this is okay to treat me this way, or no, this is not okay to treat me this way, or here's the boundary line. You don't have to build up walls, but you can build boundaries. And so I wanted to go to Joshua chapter 1, verse 7 through 9, because I remember when I was learning about being confident in the Lord and trusting God and understanding who I am and who He's called me to be. One of the first things that I saw and understood and I stood on was Joshua, the word that God told to Joshua. So Joshua was Moses' assistant, and Moses had died, and Joshua was now becoming a leader in the forefront. And one of the things that God began to tell Joshua was that he was going to lead the people into the land. They were going to possess the land, and everywhere that the sole of his foot was put down was going to be his land, and no one was going to be able to come up against him. And so this is one of the things that I'm saying, when you read this, if you don't tell yourself, if you don't stop yourself from believing this, you will automatically begin to receive it into your own self. And so just listen to it for a second, because he says, this is verse 5, "No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you." Now, if you listen to that, it sounds like God is talking to you. It doesn't sound like He's talking to Moses. It sounds, to Joshua. It sounds like He's talking to you. So if you don't stop yourself from believing it, if you just go ahead and just receive it, just listen to the words and receive it, then you'll begin to hear this love letter of the word being spoken from the mouth of God into your own life. So then he goes on and he says, "As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage, for this people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to your fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous." This is verse 7. "Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. The book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And so I remember when I first began to seek out God about, who I am and who He is and how He was going to impact my life and what changes I needed to make and everything. And when I was reading this, I remember thinking, wow, God cares about me being prosperous. He cares about me having success, because the Word of God says that the Lord doesn't change. He is the same today, yesterday, and forever. He is no respect of persons. He doesn't look at Joshua and say, "Oh, I'll do this for Joshua, but I won't do this for Makita." Or, "I'll do this for Makita, but I won't do this for you." God does not do that. He is who He is all the time, no matter what. And so something that He is willing to promise to Joshua, He's also willing to promise us. So when He said, "For then you will make your way prosperous," I took that as like direction. God has given us direction as to how we're supposed to be living out our lives and what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And He's just laying it out. He's just putting it right out in front of us. He's saying, do you want to be prosperous? Do you want to be successful? Well, here is what you have to do. He said, "Don't take the book of the law out of your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written." So first He's saying, you need to be in the Word, right? We have to have the Word in front of us. And then He said, "Don't let it depart out of your mouth." Okay, so put the Word of God in your mouth. Don't let there be anything coming out your mouth that's not of the Word of God. That's a part of being successful. Excuse me. And then He says, "You shall meditate in the day and night." And I remember when I first read this, I was like, meditation, I thought meditation wasn't good, so I looked it up. And what I learned was that to meditate on the Word of God is really to contemplate, to think on it, to process it, to go over it. Like, if you have a bill to pay and you're working on a budget, you begin to meditate on that budget. You begin to say, okay, this is how much money I have. This is how much I'm supposed to spend on this. This is how much I'm supposed to spend on that. And that becomes a meditation because you are focusing in on that. So God is saying you are supposed to read His Word, speak His Word, think on His Word, ponder over His Word, roll it over again in your mind, process it, continue to think about it, because if you do this, then you will begin to observe, you begin to look with your eyes and pay attention to what you're living like so that you can live according to the Word. And if you're doing all these things, then you'll be prosperous in your life and you will have good success. And so God is saying that these are things that He wants for us. And He's also saying, but look, I'm not going to leave you in the midst of all of this. I'm going to be with you. Just be strong and be of good courage. Do not be afraid. Don't be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.